Hi, my name is Kees, and today I have a video for you about how to deal with a spiritual awakening. Because a spiritual awakening is quite intense. It's a big shock. I think it's the biggest shock you can almost have in a spiritual path. Next to maybe some crazy mystical experience which might happen during meditation or plant medicine or something like that. Spiritual awakening is at least sober, you could say, the most intense experience you can have because it's the most life-changing usually. And that is, most people are just conscious of the body-mind. They're in the body-mind, they don't really, they notice their thoughts, but they don't really see themselves different from their thoughts or their body. They are identified with the body-mind. And what the spiritual awakening does, it gives you the perspective of spirit. It gives you the perspective of your soul, you could say. So it's a bigger perspective that hits you. And you become free from the body-mind. You see that you are not the body-mind, but the body and mind is an experience that you as awareness are having. Which is a big shock because our awareness was totally identified with the body-mind. So it was the mind, you could say. It was the body. It was so close that it didn't seem separate at all from it. It seemed like totally that. And then, suddenly, you become aware that you are actually awareness. And awareness becomes to let go of the body-mind and the importance of the body-mind a little bit. And you see that you can maybe even relax the body and mind a little bit. So two things that tend to happen is one, that people see that they have a lot of emotional baggage or trauma or things from the past that they're carrying. And I'm saying trauma in a more lighter way, sometimes also the bigger trauma, but also micro trauma. Limiting beliefs or things in the past that don't feel good anymore, or sometimes they have, let's say, a mountain of feelings that they feel that they weren't aware of. And the second thing is that they can get into a sort of spiritual depression. And I'm going to talk about both things. So first of all, because this video is about how to deal with the spiritual awakening, and these are two of the most obvious things you have to deal with. I think one of the first things is that with regarding to the emotional baggage that you feel, or the trauma that you might feel, and that is that you let them be there. Sounds strange, but it will take time to clean up the mess that you've made while you were very much identified with the body-mind. It just takes time, and you need to give yourself that time. You don't need to rush into therapy, don't need to rush into healing or energy work or anything like that. These thoughts, feelings, emotions will come up. And you sort of, in a spiritual awakening, you have an energy that is trying to help you clean up this this legacy, you could say, or now clean up this baggage. And in order to clean up this mess, you could say, it needs to be able to be safe. And safety comes from meditation, alone time, relaxed time, not needing to rush around, not taking 5 coffees at the same time, not spiking your cortisol, adrenaline too much, but just allowing yourself to relax. Like, so the example I always give is if your body's in survival, it doesn't allow these feelings to come up. So that, for example, for soldiers, most soldiers only get PTSS after the war, not when they're in the war, because the body-mind is not allowing them at that point to really integrate or to work through the experiences they might have. And that means that what is important is that you first work through relaxing the body, relaxing your experience, making sure you have the time and the relaxation and the alone time or the meditation, that you're not bombarded with entertainment or different things to do or adrenaline, and that you have time and space in your day for things to come up, for emotions to come up, for feelings to come up, that you have time in your day for self-awareness. And then these emotions and feelings, they will slowly come up. And they will come up, and when you allow them, they will be there. And when you allow them, they will let go. They will free themselves. And you shouldn't be avoiding them in any way, but you also don't have to totally focus on them. Two sides of the same coin. Like, one is avoiding and one is obsessing almost over them or going too much into them. They can just be there. They can just be your second screen, you could say, of life. But they don't have to be the first screen. They don't have to be something you totally obsess about. It's also a mistake I've made. I've made lots of mistakes on my journey. These can be just your second screen, you could say. And then related to the spiritual depression is when you have an up, you have a down. So if you have a sort of spiritual high in your experience, you usually also have a sort of down in that. And if you've had some sort of spiritual practice before, it's important to keep that up. And the reason is because otherwise you're stuck a little bit in these phases, because meditation and spiritual practices and spiritual experience goes into a certain cycle. And the only thing you need to know, first you go up, then you go down, 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 and then you go to neutral again. And then you can start the journey all over. So the only thing you have to know is when you're at the peak, it'll probably go down, 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 but you want to actually go down and continue to go up. And for that, you need your, for example, your spiritual practice, and that practice could be just allowing everything, like, or surrender, like I always try to advocate, because that's something, I think that's the easiest and of course the simplest things, or the easiest things are not always easy, but at least they're easier to remember, let's say. And they don't need a practice. You could just do your life while you're allowing yourself to be who you are. For the spiritual depression, you need actually to continue your practice to move through that phase. And also, it's a very normal thing the first time around when you first go through a cycle, like going up, 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 and then going down a little bit. And most people tend to quit meditation during this because in meditation you're more aware of some of those down feelings. But actually, you're passing through them. You're making it easier to pass through them. Right? So it's really important actually to continue your spiritual practice or continue allowing those feelings. So you don't have to go, let's say you have these down feelings, you don't have to go into therapy, but now, after spiritual awakening, you go through these cycles, these energetic cycles. And actually, you maybe would be going through them before, but now these are really activated. And you might also be a little bit more aware of how you're feeling than before. So, this spiritual depression is a little bit of distance from the body-mind, which makes you feel empty. So it's not really a depressed feeling that much. It's a feeling of you feel the emptiness of not being totally the body-mind, but being awareness, plus all these feelings that come up, plus the energetic cycle of you just had an up and then you naturally go down a little bit before your next up, you could say. So after a peak experience always comes a little bit of a lower experience, which totally makes sense. You know, this is ups and downs of life. But it's something to understand. And I think my last thing on this spiritual awakening is that you need to not ignore it, because it has changed your life. It is changing your life. And if you just ignore everything, which is a possibility, then the spiritual awakening has only been a burden, because now you've been more aware of the feelings, of the down feelings you've had, and you're just sticking and staying in those feelings. So nothing is happening, but only you've had a little bit of an up and now you're staying down. So it really is important to allow the process to do its work and not be afraid of the process. Not be afraid of what might happen, because it will only be in your benefit. Trust me, my friend, it will only be in your benefit. Right? So it's not a bad thing. A spiritual awakening is actually a beautiful thing, and it will cleanse you through and through. It will make you whole. Even though you were already whole, you didn't feel whole, but now you'll feel whole. You will be yourself. Purely. You will be free. So this spiritual awakening is for your benefit. And that means that you should see it as beneficial. Take time out of your day to do any sort of spiritual practice that you are interested in. To take time for grounding. Because a lot of people that just had a spiritual up, they're not so much grounded. So a grounding experience is also great. I have a free grounding meditation that I've listed below. And you'll also get my newsletter, which is, full of tips. That's, to me, how you deal with the spiritual awakening, is you see what is going to happen. You take it into account, some of the things that I said regarding to the energetic cycle, the spiritual depression, the emotional baggage which wants to free itself, which should have a little bit of space in your life. And then also, I think just in general, you should expect some changes in your life and some change in how you feel, etc. And you should just relax into them. Take your time for them. You don't have to change anything just because it doesn't feel optimal anymore. You can just let go, let life take the reins a little bit. Let the flow of life carry you a little bit. And if you allow the flow of life to carry you, wow, then your life will really be easy. Much love to you, my friend. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your spiritual awakening. Bye-bye. And if you have any questions, just let me know, huh? Bye, my friend. Bye.